go.
Here we go. Welcome back to the Morning Brew. It's our little live TV show that we do every morning for you right here. You can go to our Facebook page, The Morning Brew with Larry Aarons, and like our page and check in with us there. A real pleasure to welcome to our big round table today our special guest, Augusta Meyers. Augusta is the spokesperson for the RailRunner, the New Mexico RailRunner. Welcome, Augusta. How are you?
Good morning, Aaron and Larry. I'm great. Hadn't had to get up this early in a while since I left news, but
and be on TV too, right?
That's right, exactly.
Before we get into the RailRunner, tell me about your TV career and your years at Channel 7.
Sure, It was 16 years I spent at Channel 7, ABC affiliate, anchoring and reporting the news from, well, gosh, I left, it's hard to believe, in 2001. It's been that long. And then filled in a little bit at Channel 13 for a year or so after that, and then figured out, like many other on-air talent, that's an oxymoron, but if you know, to kind of morphed into a spokesperson for somebody, and it happened to be the Mid-Region Council of Governments, and we operate the RailRunner, and I've been loving that, doing that for about 8 years.
Well, and the RailRunner is just such a great program, and I'm just so glad we finally have this.
Yeah, it's nice, huh?
It's awesome. I was telling Larry earlier, this is the first time, or last year I had my first time I was driving, commuting back and forth, and it's just so convenient. You know, can you tell us a little bit about how it's helped a lot of the commuters and people that live in Santa Fe?
Well, you know,
work in Santa Fe.
Yeah, no problem. There's we started in 2006 and then started service to Santa Fe in 2008. And about 80% of our riders are commuters, and our schedule is geared for those commuters. You know, a lot of people who work in Santa Fe and government jobs can't afford to live in Santa Fe, but they need to get there, and the RailRunner is a very viable, you know, affordable option. So, and about 20% are leisure travelers, and we really enjoy being able to serve the public with an alternative mode of transportation through the heart of the Rio Grande Valley.
Now, you guys monitor ridership all the time, I'm sure. Does it peak and valley, or is it pretty consistent with the commuter traffic? Describe that. Is it seasonal?
Sure. It can be seasonal, and it's very much affected by gas prices, too. Sometimes when gas prices shoot up, we'll see ridership on the RailRunner go up as high as 30%, and then when they come back down, we notice that we retain some of those riders because that might be the impetus to get them on the train. And then once they try it, they're like, hey, we like this. And maybe they're not everyday commuters, but they'll use it once or twice or maybe 3 times a week. But yes, to answer your question, it can be seasonal. Right now, we're going to see an uptick now in the ridership because people, you know, we're creatures of habit. We stay close to the warmth of our cars in the wintertime. And so we average about 3,700 passengers a day, and that can go up to about 4,000 during peak months, and about 3,000 total passengers on the weekends. So, you know, we have a fairly consistent ridership.
And it's such a great money saver as well. I was doing the RailRunner back and forth from Santa Fe, and I was like, I was driving first, and then I did the RailRunner. It's amazing how much money you save by doing this.
Oh no! If you worked in Santa Fe, if you lived in Albuquerque and worked in Santa Fe, you can spend up to $500, $600 a month in gas, and you can get a monthly pass on the RailRunner for a lot less than that. I can't think of what it is right now. But
you'll think of it. How many trains do you have?
We have 10 trains.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, actually, I think we have more.
I would have guessed 5 or 6.
Yeah,
10.
Yeah, we have quite. And then we also have an express route that shaves some time off in the morning. It's comparable to getting there in a car, and we'd like to. We're not looking at expanding service this year, but you know, the future probably holds. We're looking at maybe doing some more express routes and doing some track improvements that'll allow us to get our passengers to and from around the corridor a little bit quicker.
And for those who aren't familiar with the RailRunner, can you tell us like where it goes from?
Sure. It goes. It's a 100-mile corridor that starts as far as south as Belen and goes up to Santa Fe. We have over 60 bus connections because people say, well, it's great to ride the train, but what do I do once I get to my destination? We have 60 bus connections, most of which, and those can take you as far north as Taos and as far south as Socorro. But with your RailRunner ticket, most of those are free. So it's a real good savings there as well.
I love what Santa Fe has done on their end of the stop.
It's beautiful,
because the rail yard area has just transformed itself. I love how attentive they are to the passengers, and the vans are waiting, and you can just you can really have a great experience once you get there.
And you can, and the other great thing is too, for families or people can also take their bicycles on the train. There are tons of people who take their bikes on the train, and bike lockers at most of the stations along the way. So say you have to go to Santa Fe or come to Albuquerque for work, just bring your bike on the train and you can ride the rest of the way to your employment.
Right, and it's also such a great scenic experience as well. I never realized all of the areas it goes through, and I'm sure a lot of tourists use it.
Oh, absolutely, and I think you're absolutely right, Erin. There's there's beautiful, this truly is the land of enchantment. You see that on the RailRunner. There's some beautiful vistas and places that you don't see when you're driving, or you can't take the time to really look at it, but it is a beautiful state, and you do get to see quite a bit of it from the RailRunner.
So Augusta, tell us, you guys are sitting around the office dreaming up plans and looking at the future of the RailRunner, thinking about what might be. What's out there for the future of this service?
Well, as I mentioned, I think we're not looking at major expansions right now. A lot of that will have to do with money, and those are probably our biggest challenges as we move forward. I mean, we have about a $24 million operating budget. 54% of that comes from our voter-approved gross receipts tax. Another 17% comes from or 14% from our fares, and then track fees and stuff. About another 7%. But last year, we were able to make up a large portion of the federal funds that we lost after the first 3 years of service with more federal funds that are permanent. They just come to our region because we have a train to provide for people. So we're probably looking at, again, as I mentioned, making improvements to the track so we can make the train even a little faster for folks, and maybe adding some more express service. So, and then probably maybe a few more stations along the way, but mostly looking at cutting off some of the travel time, cutting it down a bit.
That's great. Now, do you have to fight for funding every year at the legislature, or do you have a long-term funding plan in place?
Yeah, not now we don't, because of those federal funds I mentioned that came to that were designated. It is good because it's taken the monkey off the state's back with having to provide a good chunk of the funding, and so I think our future is bright. Our funding is sustainable right now, and it looks like it's going to be for the foreseeable future.
Right. And how many people do you employ, probably? I mean, because this is great. It's another good thing for the economy. And you probably employ a good amount of people.
Sure. Well, our contractor who operates the train for us is Herzog Transit Incorporated, and they operate train systems all around the world. And so there's probably at least another 50 people who, conductors, ticket takers, maintenance people, management positions. So yes, that's a good point. There are, and those jobs are good jobs.
Yeah.
How do you find people to be the engineer? Is there a lot of those?
You'd be surprised how many people want to drive the train.
Sure, exactly. But it's a specialized job.
Right, and they have to go through training, and I think a lot of people who end up in those positions probably start as a conductor and work their way up, and then they like working for the train system, and so then they say, hey, you know what, this would be fun to actually become an engineer. But there are some people whose lifelong goal is to be an engineer, and so we have engineers from all over the place, but they're good folks.
That's great.
Now, how much does it cost to ride?
Well, it depends on, the fares are they're zone based, so the farther you go, the more you're going to pay. But just say, for instance, if you go on nmrailrunner.com, you can figure out how much it's going to cost. But like a round trip to Santa Fe would be $8 or $9 if you get a day pass. Yeah. So it's a pretty economical way to travel.
And you all have an app as well. I have the app on my phone.
Of course you do.
Yes, we're working on incorporating more technology. Oh, and I did want to mention, right now, through the 5th of May, we are conducting a customer satisfaction survey. And if you complete the survey online, you can be eligible to win an iPad, Isotopes tickets, tickets to Cliffs. So that's kind of neat. And also we have, I wanted to mention that we don't sell food on the train, but people can bring food and beverages on the train as long as they clean up after
Yeah.
themselves. We also have Wi-Fi the whole way, so you can bring your computer and get some work done. Yeah, and we have digital screens on the train. Oftentimes we'll do contests and different things and provide information for people. And then UNM's theater department the last few years has had Shakespeare on the Rail. So we have had their theater group come on, and certain train cars they'll provide some fun stuff as well.
That is really cool.
No, it's really a lot of fun. And so and you know, another benefit of the train that I think people don't see is that people get to know each other. If you ride regularly, they'll have birthday parties.
Strike up a conversation.
Yeah.
Augusta, thank you for coming on the show. Good to see you. Thank you.
Good to see you too.
Thank you.
Thanks. Augusta Meyers with the New Mexico RailRunner. We'll be back in a moment with more. Grab another cup. It's the Morning Brew.